Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Saturday Night Talk. Tonight, I wanted to talk about self esteem, trauma, and lack of understanding. Um, I have Deb on with me tonight. She's in avatar form. So if you are a regular and you'd like to come on and talk about self esteem, trauma, and lack of understanding, there's so much we can talk about on that topic. So good evening, Deb. How's everything going?
Good evening. Everything's going well. How are you?
I'm fine. And Jeanette. Hi, Ann Jeanette. Angie B is on the live tonight. Good to see you. Good to see you. So yes, what I know you've been busy. Go ahead and let us know. I know you've been having fun. Excuse us for being delayed a little bit, everybody. If you want to come on, let me go ahead and share the link. You can catch it, get the link on Simply Jewel TV on YouTube. That's the best way to get the link. You just have to click on, and it'll let you follow the prompts, or let me know. I will um, put it on Facebook. I can share it that way as well. Okay, so let me just add that link. And Deb, so what else can we, or how would you like to start tonight out? I'm talking about self esteem, trauma, lack of understanding. I know that I have, um, there's the link. It's on YouTube, but that's on Facebook as well. It's the same uh, link, but you can just click the link on YouTube, okay? And I will also pin it. So go ahead, Deb.
Well, what I want to start it here because I think when we talk about trauma, um, some people may not understand really what is trauma and what classifies trauma, and the response can be different from circumstance to circumstance, individual to individual. So, what's a good way to identify trauma, Jewel?
Well, there's all kinds of ways. Just to all kinds of ways. The fact that people are going through so many uh, trials and going through all kinds of uh, personal issues. What can I say? Depression is a form of trauma because they for one, they don't realize that that's what they're going through. Um, Abuse, mental abuse, physical abuse, post traumatic stress disorder, you name it. People live it every day, but they don't identify it as trauma. They just say, oh, I think I'm going through something. They know they're going through something. Their personality changes. They don't enjoy doing the same things that they're doing because they're traumatized. There's a lot of different ways to identify trauma, but people don't want to identify, they don't want to be true they to themselves. So there's many of different ways. Is there something in particular, Deb, uh,
Well,
that
the reason why I ask is I agree with what you just said with the latter statement. I think, Jewel, a lot of people don't have not been taught how to identify trauma. If they're having anxiety and depression and things of that nature, they may just identify it as depression, anxiety, and not think that it was caused maybe by a traumatic event. A young woman that I've been working with for 2 years on yesterday ended up losing custody of her three children. And well, DHS removed them, let me put it that way. And she called me screaming, hysterical. That was traumatic. She didn't want to live. She had no reason to live because she felt like her living was for her children. And I really had to work with her through that traumatic situation. So I agree with what your response was, but sometimes people really have not learned to identify um, what trauma is, and they don't know that sometimes other things can mask behind that.
yes, well, that's for certain. So let's break it down for them tonight, because here I am. People self-medicate,
Hmm.
um, but they won't make healthy choices. So people drink their problems away, people drug their problems away, or think they are, but they don't want to
Hmm.
face the trauma. So is it because of fear? Is it because they don't have the support? Is it because people make fun of people? I know I watched or read something earlier today where a guy is putting hours time in, uh, got a jail sentence because I think he bullied people. And then he
Mm.
said it's because of his eye. It was a particular rapper,
Mm.
because his eye was disfigured. And people are mean. People make fun of you. Listen, I can say it, but I had support. I had my father and my mother who instilled positivity in me, because people can be scarred from childhood and carry it into adulthood. And that's where the drinking and the drugging comes in, and they don't want to face their trauma for fear. Fear is false evidence appearing to be real. It's not real, but people will make it seem like it's real. People are mean, they're nasty. People don't even realize that if you say something to them, they get offended. They stop talking to you. That's their trauma. You don't even have any idea that they're traumatized, you see. So therefore, the people go years without talking because they're traumatized. They haven't dealt with their trauma. They get offended. Self esteem is low. You name it. It's a lot of stuff that goes. So, like we keep saying, we got to unpack some of this stuff. Let's talk about it. How are we going to unpack it if people don't even know where to start? They don't even know
Mhm.
how to decompress. You see, people get offended, and it's not because of what you said, it's because way back in the day, somebody did something, somebody said something, and that triggered them, which means they're still traumatized. What do you say about
Mhm.
that?
And I totally agree with you. Um, a lot of times, trauma in certain cases can stem from childhood, and they've never worked through that. They've never had anyone to talk to, never had therapy sessions of any form. And I'll tell you, Jewel, it's very right now. I don't know about there, but there in Colorado, but in Tennessee, there's a real shortage of therapists, and that's why I think the government is allowing so much telehealth. And I just, I think telehealth is a good thing, but I think face to face works better for most individuals. You want to make good eye contact, see if they're fidgety, things of that nature. But, things people have not had the resources or the training, I don't feel, to know it's okay to go talk to someone. We've
Yeah,
been, stigmatized and made to seem like we cannot express our feelings or our trauma. It's like we're to internalize all of that, and then it blows up, and then people wonder why people have an attitude, they have a short circuit. It may not be that actual individual, it could be a trigger, it could be one word or a facial expression, and that sends someone off the deep end because it brings back an unpleasant situation for them a lot of times if it's a traumatic situation.
yeah, I agree. I agree. I just wanted to say a shout out to is it Bree Spot? Bree Spot. Feel free to go to YouTube if you like and come on the platform and let's talk about it. What do you say about it? Because today is a topic we just need to make sure people get it, people understand it. Self esteem, lack of understanding, trauma, it all goes hand in hand. So, yes, I just think that it's important today. We watch everything else. We, want to be entertained, but this is the time to get involved. There's so much going on in the world. I'm watching and reading so much about things that's happening. I get notifications all day long, bodies coming up, missing, body of a missing 11-year-old, a 3-year-old that has shot somebody, you know. Why are you leaving guns where a 3-year-old can get to it and they shoot the person? Uh, it's just too much. Okay, it's too much. But yet we want to be entertained. These are the shows that we should have. We're on every Saturday, and nobody wants to talk about what's really going on. Nobody wants to talk about the trauma. Nobody wants to talk about, the lack of self esteem. Come on, people. We got to do something. Okay, Breeze Spot said it's been taught for decades to keep secrets among the family, and they don't want to be shamed or embarrassed. You're right about that. But
Mhm.
she's right, because they used to
Absolutely.
say is nobody's business, but keep it in the house. You don't want everybody to know what's going on. But then I was fortunate enough to be able to talk to my parents, but a lot of people were not.
Absolutely.
And Jeanette says, so true. We keep our business to ourselves instead of getting counseling therapy, breeding generations of traumatized individuals and communities. You know, that is so true. That's what I'm talking
Absolutely.
about. Yeah. What do you say, Deb?
I agree with both of them because we have been taught that. Look at the generations of damage it has happened just in our culture. We are seeing it manifest a lot in our culture because we were raised to keep secrets. We were raised to not talk about things. And that's made us, I feel, sometimes reluctant to go get help because, if you can't trust your family, you know, who can you trust? Do you want to trust a total stranger? And therapist at this day and time, you have to go to whoever your insurance company will allow you to see. They may or may not be in your city or state. So that's creating a different barrier, I think, sometimes for individuals to get help and to feel safe, because they feel like they're breaking some family code almost that, oh, we're not to talk about this. You're not part of my family. I can't share this with you because this is what I was taught as a child.
Okay, yeah, that's true. And not only that, sometimes though, people, you may want to go and get counseling that's not in your circle. That way, you're not being judged. That way, you're not being shamed or feel embarrassed. Because sometimes, if you don't know the person, they're not going to judge you. They may be able to give you a little bit of encouragement because they don't know you, because they can help you to um, look at things a different way. You know, that's something too. What does
I
she
agree.
say? Healing starts with touching base on the hurt and trauma one has been through. Holding things inside isn't good. That is true. It grows in a negative way. That is true. But trust can be an issue as well. Yeah, it can be an issue. It can be an issue because, but then again, if we have barriers up and we can't trust because of past experiences, that's a problem. So and
Absolutely.
and then to let the guard down. See, that's hard to do for some people that have had trust issues. It's very hard to do. But little by little, as you boost your self esteem, as you deal with the issues, as you learn to understand and love yourself again, there's so many different tools that you can do to build yourself up. And like I say, trust, I'm not knocking anybody. It depends on what the person has gone through or the person is going through. That is something that we all have to think about. Is
Mhm.
there's so many different tools. Journal. If you don't want to tell anybody, write it down, then burn it up.
Yep.
Write it down or put it away. But there's so many different things that you can do to help yourself. What do you say about that? What Breeze was saying.
I agree. You mentioned the word self-esteem. And, one of the things that's really becoming popular now is self-care.
Hmm.
People do not realize how important it is to love yourself first.
Yeah.
We have, as beings, a lot of times we give and we give and we give, and then there's nothing left over for us to draw from. We need to be taking time every day to make sure that we show our self love.
Yes, yes. And a lot of people say, oh, I've got, there's more people that have bigger problems than what I have. Okay. But aren't you enough? Aren't you just as important? At what point do you start loving yourself? At what point do you start doing things to help you to heal? At what point do you start hanging around positive people? At what point do you start removing yourself from people that make you feel bad or that always have something to say? Because I'm going to tell you something. People that always agree with what you have to say are not necessarily your friends. They want to see what's going on with you, but tell them you got a problem. Oh, girl, let me hurry up. Girl, I'll call you right back. I got so and so on the other line. But that's your friend. That's your friend. So see, no, at what point did people say it's time to change your surroundings? It's time to change the people that you are friends with. If they're not serving you well, if they are not supporting you, if they are not doing what's expected of them, look at how they are. Look at how they care about themselves or not. How many
Hmm.
times do you have to ask people to make healthy choices? How many times do you have to um, adjust your schedule because of their schedule? That kind of thing. We must replenish what we give out. Yes, we do. All right, listen.
Hmm.
I heal myself. I take the time. I stay off of Facebook. I may be on every day, but I am not watching everything. I may only check my notifications. I may only support those that support me. You see, simple and sweet.
That's right.
What helped me is people, places, and things. Okay, come on, Bree Spot. She is doing it. I appreciate you. I wish you would just come on and I can send you the link. I need to hear from you. I need to hear from you. Thank you for your support. And Jeanette, thank you for your support. Yeah, that's my girl. She supports, and I'm passing out stars today. Those that support me, I support them. I'm passing out stars. That's what it's all about. Because you cannot keep in 2023, we are on the other side of COVID. What do you think people have learned from being confined to the home for almost 3 years? Did you grow any? Did you do anything to help yourself? That's what I want to know. That's what I want to know. Thank you, Anjanette. You guys go see Anjanette. She's got a jewelry out. It's Angie B 522 here on Facebook. And my little J, that came from Angie B as well. So yeah, love my jewelry. Make sure you go check her out, Angie B on Facebook, and take a fool's advice on YouTube. Thanks for your support. And thanks again, Bree Spot. As a new follower and a new supporter, I appreciate you. Yeah, people, places, and things. I appreciate you. Thank you. What do you have to say, Deb? Go ahead.
No, what Bree Spot was talking about, people, places, and things. I know that that's a phrase I use a lot when I'm doing counseling, simply because if people want to heal, if they truly, truly want to heal and get better, sometimes you have to address your people, places, and things. Just because those people were in your circle or were your friends, or you may have thought they were your friends, it doesn't mean that they're going to be part of your journey for the rest of your life. I truly believe that sometimes we can outgrow friendships or friendships change, um, simply because as we're growing individually, our interests may change. I do a lot of, I attend meetup groups, and people have to realize that people's interests change, their friendships, they may be in your life to teach you a lesson, to help you
Yes.
learn something. And we have to
Yes.
realize that everybody may not be on the same journey with you for the full duration. And you have to know that you can love them from a distance. They can still be an associate, but they may not be someone that you hang out with, confide in, or that you can trust.
Yeah.
Some people just want to be in your life for your business and don't mean
Absolutely.
you any good. And you
Absolutely.
have to realize those are the ones you feed, like they said, with a long handle spoon.
Yes, yes. And you're right about that. The people, places, and things. You're right about that. In your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And that is so true. But one thing I can say, this is the time to really talk about some things because people are going through it. And when I tell you, it is really sad to see what's really going on in the world, and people act like it's normal. It is not normal, people. There was a time when people used to sit on the porch and just talk. I think that's what's lacking in the world is that people cannot talk. They can't voice their opinion without somebody having something negative to say or somebody canceling you out. You know what? I don't care. Cancel me. That means that's one less person I have to deal with that's negative. You see, there comes a time where you got to be around people that really care about you, not those that always have something. If it's something that somebody has to say about you and you think that they're being negative, no, honey. It may be you need to take a look at yourself. It may be you need to figure out, well, what is that person like? What is her character like? Is it coming from a good person or is it coming from somebody that always wants, that's how you gauge if it's something you should be thinking about, if you should take a look within yourself, you see. Oh, yeah, they not gonna
Yeah,
like me today. Anjanette says, I agree. Sometimes we hold on too long. We have to be conscious of seasons. Yes, we really do.
absolutely. I
Yep.
I agree. I agree. And we have to get comfortable in our self-esteem and our decision making to cut people off when that season's over. You know, you can't help someone that doesn't first identify that they need help or that they have a problem. So why are you going to take your energy, your positive energy, and keep investing it in someone that doesn't even have an ear to
To hear.
hear
Ah,
to hear
right.
what you are offering them or what you're suggesting or what your conversation is. You know,
Yeah.
if they're not receiving the conversation, then you may be on two different playing fields. And if they're not ready to grow, that's okay, but it doesn't mean you have to lower your standards
Right.
to or stop your journey of acceleration um for them. I
That's
mean,
right.
I don't feel you should do that. And, I'll encourage anyone to journal. I mean, I've done it for well over 30 years. It has helped me immensely. Matter of fact, this week I went back and read some of my journals from 10 years ago, and I was like, wow, you
Yes,
know, you can go back and reflect and you can see where you were in your life at that time.
exactly. I do a lot. I have journals from before when I junior high school that I still have. Hey Vicky, good to see you tonight.
Hey, Vicky.
Vicky says when we speak with people, it should be with kindness, humility, and be Christ like Colossians 4 6. Yeah, I read that today. Be mindful of how we speak with people. But I also want to say, Vicky, and I read that post today. I just read that before I came on. And we do have to speak with people. It should be with kindness, but there's some people that don't get it. And that we have to hold people accountable. But like she said, Colossians 4 6. Because see, if I say something and they know my character, it's all in love. But what I'm not going to do is uphold you in wrongdoing. If you're right, you're right. If you're wrong, you're wrong. And I'm going to say it, or I'll remove myself from the situation, because friends, they tell you what's right and what's wrong. If you trust them, if they're your friends and you trust them, then we can say it in love and we can say it without offending people. But again, depending on their mindset, depending on where they are, is how they receive it. They may receive it and you may not hear from them for 10 years. And come to find out, you didn't even know the reason why. You see, you didn't even know the reason why. So that's my thing. Vicky says truth, yes. But yeah, I mean, we are in a day and time where we're going to have to be open. And I said it last time, painfully honest, because we so busy just giving people what they want to hear. You see, and agreeing with them because we don't want them to be mad at us. Listen, you're not doing yourself any service. You can be more stressed out because you didn't say something, you know? What you say, Vicky? I mean, Vicky. I meant what you say. Come on up, Vicky. I'll send you the link. Um, Brit Spot saying hello. You're back on. I saw somebody trying to come on the screen. You can also connect on YouTube. Hit that like button, share, share, share. We're on a roll tonight. I appreciate all the people coming on tonight. As you can see, this is a topic and we need to talk about it. And if you're on next week, please, hopefully, we can do it again next week. But this is a topic we need to stay on. This is a topic we need to talk about. I had so many different things I was going to share. But Vicky or Debbie, if you want, I can pull it up. So, what else can you say that can encourage the listeners?
Well, I know you were talking about lack of understanding. I think why there is a lack of understanding, it honestly is because there's lack of communication.
I agree. That's why I was saying, remember how people used to sit on the porch, and people, oh, they don't do that anymore. That's old fashioned. Well, guess what? It was necessary and it was needed. You see somebody sitting on a porch, you go to and sit on the porch and you may be talking for hours. And then they'll say, well, where were you? Oh, I was sitting on the porch with so and so. We had a good conversation. That's what's needed.
I
Yeah,
also think, Jewel, when we came up, we were in all from the same neighborhood, and we attended the same church, and we all went to the same schools. I think now with busing and, so many churches online, and people have, post COVID or staying home, they're not really interacting and engaging. And I tell people all the time that those that I work with, it's important to get out of your house. Don't just be confined to your house. That's how depression and anxiety and some of those things actually breed and can bring on some of your trauma because you're not engaging. Some of them don't come to they go to the store once or twice a month, and then they come and see me, and there may be 2 weeks. Oh, I haven't been out of my house for the past 2 weeks until I came to the office. I'm like, you shouldn't do that.
Hey,
That's not
listen.
helping you.
Listen, it's helping me. I have not, when it happened, I was at home. I was satisfied. I go to the store, get my food. I have enough to keep me company. I'm my own best friend. Uh, listen, I was fine. And now outside, I don't mind doing outside activities because I'm not willing to go into a building and there's no ventilation. Listen, there's a lot going on. I'm perfectly fine. But then these platforms, I was engaging on YouTube and on platforms, meeting people on platforms, just like now. Breeze Spot was saying hello to Vicky. People communicate. People come on these platforms and develop a rapport with one another. And I know that people were on platforms for like weeks, and then they found out they lived in the same community, the same state, eventually met up. But if you are on these platforms, you meet people, you engage with people, you find out who you click with and who you don't click with. Like Breeze Spot says, depression and mental health is real. Yes, it is.
Yes,
Yes, it is. But
it
you
is a
see,
disease.
it is. And she's engaging wonderfully. And this can be helping her to heal. We don't know. You see? So that's a beautiful thing. Oh, hello. Hey, Kathy Hillsman
Hey,
Caston.
Kathy.
Hello, hometown ladies. I'm still on my porch. Speak to the neighbors and talk. That's what I'm talking about. Come on in the room, Kathy. You're welcome on the platform. I can send you the link if you like so we can talk about it. Okay. Yes, Bree Spot says yes. I know that's right. And Jeanette, that was me during COVID. I never left the house. Then all of a sudden, I was crying at the drop of a pen. I think I was depressed. Could have been. Yeah,
Mhm.
it could have been.
Mhm.
You got to eat healthy. You got to do the right things. Why you guys think I was out there promoting eat healthy? Your food is your medicine, your tea, you know, no sugar. Get rid of some people don't know that eggs are allergens. Chicken, but chicken was my best friend. I love chicken. That's my birthmark. So see, and that's why these platforms are now becoming are so important because how can I say? Because it gives us an outlet. It gives us something, a place to be without having to go anywhere, if that makes any sense. Breeze Spot says it's ways to develop a great, yes, it is, a great
Yes.
support system. You're right about that. It really is. Yeah. That's what this is all about. I met people on YouTube. I follow them today. Matter of fact, it was a birthday. I follow the Batty twins, and I missed the birthday, but I sent a little token because these platforms can help people to heal. They can communicate. They can get involved. She says, believe it or not, this is needed. I also shared it. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Now, see, when I get off of here, I'm going to give her some stars. You see what I mean? She
Absolutely.
deserves the stars, man. Oh, as long as you can start somewhere, that's all that matters. Baby steps. You're right about that.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Sometimes we set our goals too high and they're not realistic, but little by little, inch by inch, step by step, they can be accomplished. But, you know, you have to acknowledge that it's a need and you want to change.
Right.
You want to do that deep inner work. And
That's right. Key
it it's
word. You're
it
right.
it can be deep because some of these scars and trauma could stem from your childhood.
They
So
do.
if you have recurring triggers on the same thing, you may have to go back to situations when you were 5 or 7 or 12 or 13. And you may really have to do some digging and ask other people questions because you may have mentally blocked portions of it out and may only have fragments of memories. But when someone will say something or look at you a certain way or a certain topic and it brings across energy or reactions that are not healthy for you.
Right, right. I agree. And that's another thing too, because key word, 8, the age of 8. I always say that's when you're when you start dreaming the most, when you're trying to
Hmm.
figure out who you want to be, what you want to be. And it's important, you see, it's important to figure out where you're going, who you can align yourself with. If you fall short, how to pick yourself up and keep going with support of those that are rooting for you. Breeze Spot says we can get overwhelmed because we crunch everything up together at once. Yeah. And then the mind
Hmm.
starts going. That's true. That is true.
Absolutely. And I think right now there's just so much going on in our society that it can be a lot sometimes to process.
Oh, yeah. Breeze Spot says I'm in tears because everything in this discussion is all facts and touching home. Well, we're here for you. And Breeze, you can get in touch with me if you'd like, one on one. If you don't want to talk about it on here, feel free to get in touch with me personally or with Deb. Deb is on Voices of Savannah here on Facebook. And feel free to connect with one of us for a one on one if you'd like. Deb?
Tears can be good. It's a form of release. It's
Yeah.
a starting point for your healing. So sometimes you just need, just a little breakthrough for you to release some of that tension and frustration and depression. I would encourage you that if you're not journaling, to take 15 to 30 minutes a day to write about your day. And if
Yeah.
it's something negative or you don't want someone else to see in your journal, then just take that page out and burn it. And
Yes.
that's a form of release.
Yes. And she's saying she really appreciates this. Well, we appreciate you coming on. I hope you're following me. If not, make sure you follow Deb or myself so you can get some stars, so we can help you and support you in healing, because that's what we're here for. We've been trusting and believing that people need this time, that people need a place to come and communicate and share and encourage and comment. That's what it's all about. Because actually, I I'm over entertaining people without coming up with a solution on how we can help people, how we can support people, how we can encourage people. That's what this platform is all about. And I appreciate you.
Well, I believe in affirmations, Jewel. I don't know if you use them, but positive affirmations have worked for me for a lot of times. Sometimes just sitting, reading them when I'm not having a day that's 100% or 95%. It kind of helps with shifting your thoughts, and then you're reaffirming things that you want to see happen in your life. And you
Yes,
keep, what you talk about, what you think about, I believe you can bring about. So sometime having that positivity um, can be a motivation and help you with your self-esteem
I
and help you
agree.
cross some barriers.
I agree. I agree. Yes. And just like Bree says, yes, I shed tears of joy. I've come a long way. I have no regrets. It's helpful. It's helped me understand life. I learned something new daily. Oh, that's beautiful. Well,
Yes.
yes, we all can learn something new. Oh, you're from Florida. Okay, welcome, Florida.
Yes.
Welcome. Okay. And if any, oh, thank you. Okay. You get stars today, Breeze. I appreciate you. You get stars today. Okay. So anybody else? What else can we say, Deb? I think these are words, instead of people being desensitized, instead of people, sweeping it under the rug and acting like people aren't hurting. Aren't That's my thing. Aren't you tired yet? Isn't there a platform where people can come and vent and speak their truth? That's what I was saying the other day. And look at God. Look at today. You know?
Mhm.
Yeah.
It We're going to have to take time to get an understanding. There's a difference in understanding and judging.
Yes. Yes. Go ahead.
There's
Let's
a
break that down.
difference in understanding and judging.
Yes.
Judgment has a lot of assumptions that come in there a lot of times. But when you have an understanding, that's an open communication, an open dialogue where both parties can converse and ask questions. The
Yes.
scripture tells us we're to have an understanding. So the only way you can have an understanding is to talk to someone, to form a relationship with that person where you can be, in some cases, painfully honest if
Hello.
necessary.
That's my
We
favorite.
can't heal and get better by just having surface type conversations, because we're not going to get to the root of it, and no one's going to heal in that process.
I
That's like putting
agree.
a band-aid on it.
I agree. And that's why we do these Saturday night lives. I was doing Tuesday and Thursday for healthy choices. But I think once a week is fine. And then if we need to come on more, that's fine. But if we get 10 people on a platform, we may need to go twice a week or three times a week. But that's what this is all about. Is to let people vent, let people express themselves. Some people don't have anyone to talk to. Some people can't even express themselves. I'm going to tell you something. Have you ever tried to explain something to somebody and they're like, huh? What are you talking about?
Hmm.
Because they
Yes,
don't want to
ma'am.
hear it. But you can come to this platform and we're not going to say, what are you talking about? I don't understand what you're talking about. Well, let's talk about it. Let's put it out there. Let's get other people's opinions so that you can start to heal. That's
That's
what
right.
this page is all about. I'm sick and tired of people saying, "Oh, I don't know what you're talking about." That's because you don't want to know what I'm talking about.
Amen.
Get your popcorn, get your crackers, get your water, your tea, your soda. Let's talk about it. We come on every Saturday for an hour. You get 10 people on the platform, it may be 2 hours, but we need to talk about it. It's not about entertaining, it's about coming up with solutions, supporting one another. Networking, like Bree said, is a positive way. Exactly. That's what this is all about. I've been on here for a long time trying to figure out, how do I connect with people? How do we get people to open up? You know, they don't have to tell their business, but let's talk about the topic. And if you need to talk about your business, then you can call me personally. I've always said that.
Hmm.
And I mean that because people need to vent. They need to get it out of their system. They need to start healing. They need to understand, what do I eat to decompress? What do I do to calm down? What do I do if everything in my head is coming together? That's
Hmm.
what this platform is all about. It really and truly, that's what it's all about. So, Tuesdays and Thursdays, we try to help people eat healthy. They didn't want to hear. Saturdays were like how to help a changing world. Well, today is the day, people. Today is the day. We can help people. We can talk about what foods to eat. We can talk about self esteem. We can talk about trauma. We can talk about the lack thereof. It's important and we need to keep going. If you're not able to come on this week, maybe you can come on next week. Every week, we can talk about it. Every week, let me know in the comment sections what other topics you want to talk about. But self esteem, listen, do you understand? That's why a majority of people are incarcerated because they made the wrong choices, because their self esteem was hurt, because there was lack of understanding. Do we not understand what's going on here? Let's talk about that.
Well, Jewel, people have to understand their self-worth. And this is something that I feel with sometimes women really need to understand their value and their self-worth. Um,
Okay. Yes.
and I feel sometimes that women feel they're not as valuable because they do things out of someone's expectation of what it's like to be a mother and to have a career. And we've sometimes, I think, um, are living through someone else's expectation. But I feel like, Jewel, we have to take the mask off and say, this is traumatizing for me, you
Yeah.
know, because that's difficult. People raise the bar. Oh, you're a career person. Oh, you're a parent, you're a grandparent, whatever your role in society is. And sometimes people can't walk in those shoes.
That's true. And I want to say though, Deb, it's not just the women, it's men as well, because they didn't have the father figures. Those that even have father figures are still needing validation. Okay. Bree says, I'm glad I chimed in. You're the third person I found on here that has my attention. That's a great thing. Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
But yeah, it's not, or been hearing it most of their lives, she says.
hmm
That's what
I,
she said.
I think that, like we said, I think Kathy mentioned it. We've got to go back to the porch. We've got to sit. We've got to put our guard down and get an understanding of who our neighbors are. There are a lot of people that don't even know the person that's next door to them on either side or the people across the street. We've got to, that'll help your self esteem. Sometimes people are so guarded that they don't even feel like they can go speak to somebody else. And then you're having a misunderstanding maybe about that neighbor or their behavior simply because you're not confident in who you are to even go extend and say, hey, my name is Deborah, I'm your neighbor here, welcome to the neighborhood, I'd like to get to know you, if there's something I can do for you. We can't even have those simple conversations with people because our society has us so on edge, I feel,
Yeah.
sometime, and so guarded, we're afraid to speak to anyone. It's like we've got to just get out of our car, park it in the garage, and hurry up and go in the house. We don't want to look around. We don't want to do anything. We just want to hurry up, get our stuff, and get in the house and bunker down for the night.
Yeah, and that's funny you say that because, my dad used to say it don't cost you a dime to speak. I still speak to people and they look at me like, did you just say something to me? Because they're not used to that. They're so busy, you know, thinking somebody's going to do something to them or say something to them.
hmm
But when you look a person in the eye, that ought to let them know everybody is not that way. Like Anjanette says, yes, self worth goes back to what you said about loving yourselves. Self love is not selfish. No, it's not.
That's right.
Because a lot of people need to understand that once you love yourself, you can love others as well. It's both ways. And then Vicky says, sometimes we put unreasonable expectations on people. Yes, yes, that's
Absolutely.
true. Because people are so busy judging now instead of let people be themselves. Why do we always have to judge? Why can't people dare to be different? God created us different. Why do we have to be like somebody? Why can't we just be ourselves?
And that's true, but it goes back to the topic, Jewel, the lack of understanding. It's so much easier to judge and to assume than to sit down and have a real conversation with someone and get to know them.
Yeah, because see, that's the thing. Remember when I say they always say, "Oh, that's old fashioned," you see, and like Bree say, it's not normal nowadays. Well, you know what? We're gonna have to renormalize this thing because to me, what do they say? If it's not broke, don't try to fix it. That's one of the things that should have never gone away. People should have been able to say, "Good morning, how are you doing?" You know, like you say, sitting on the porch, talking to people. People know when you're genuine. And I'm going to tell you something. People that have mental disorders are very sensitive. They know who's real.
Mhm.
I'm going to tell you that right now.
Mhm.
So,
Yes,
for
ma'am.
all of the people in this world that are nasty to people, that are trying to heal, trying to find their way, and you're nasty to somebody that has a mental disorder, and I'm talking depression, anxiety, I'm talking post traumatic stress disorder, I'm talking ADD, ADHD. If you are nasty, they feel it.
Absolutely. They're human. They have emotions. They have feelings. I mean, it's just like a dog. If you talk harsh to a dog or whatever, it's apt to bite you. I mean, it's no different. But we haven't, until recent years, we were not allowed to comfortably sit down and talk about it, especially mental illness. It back in the day, they was crazy, something was wrong with them, don't talk to them, and we were taught to shun them. And people, we were raised to be afraid, and they wouldn't identify it. They just said they were crazy. Leave them
You
alone.
You know what? My mom would never do that. Remember, we used to live a couple of doors down from veterans. They all
Yeah.
wore white socks.
Yep.
Remember?
Yep.
And yeah, we knew early on not to make fun of people. She always told us not to do that. Do not do that. You never know the minds of people. You never know what's going on in a person's mind. You know, that one kind word or gesture can change a person's whole mood or day. I'm a living
Yes.
witness. Oh,
Absolutely.
bless your
Absolutely.
heart.
And
Yeah,
I'm going to
it's
tell you, you were talking about veterans. Veterans are often misunderstood
yeah.
because of the stigma and stereotype that has been placed out there about them dealing with PTSD. And instead of taking the time to get an understanding about who they are and some of the trauma that they have experienced.
Yeah. Well, as you know, just within the last few years, I want to say pre-COVID, we have post-traumatic stress disorder. It's called social.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the problem I have is I've been saying it. And I even had a judge ask me, was were you military? No. But the CDC finally put a name on it. Now everybody believes it.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been saying this for years, at least the last 8 years, that there is trauma in the community. There's post traumatic stress disorder in the community. Well, we even have uh, trauma with our young black men.
Yes.
post-traumatic stress disorder because of the racial exclusion, uh, uh, what am I trying to say, exclusion, harassment. uh, there's so much going on that's where the lack of understanding is fits in there as well, because
Hmm.
the first thing people want to do is judge. Who and why are you judging without taking the time to hear somebody's story? But we
Hmm.
as a community or as a society, I'll say, um, will form an opinion, and it's not even accurate, because that's what society has been doing for a long time. That's not accurate. Why not take the time to hear somebody? And then a veteran, because they have post traumatic stress disorder, now more people are starting to understand it better. But at
Absolutely.
what? Go ahead.
No, absolutely. If when we think about lack of understanding and post COVID, all of our viewers were all in different parts of the United States. And if we were all to come on and talk about it, we all have a different understanding or how COVID impacted each of us differently and what our trauma was associated with COVID and how that affected our self esteem and things that we used to do, we may not feel as comfortable doing now, or the uncertainty of what is going to happen. I think post COVID, will this ever happen again? How lax should we be? How comfortable should we be? And different regions had handled it differently. The transition out of it was happened differently from state to state. So all of us have experienced a form of trauma differently based on the geographic places that we live.
You're right about that. And Anjanette, honey, and mothers with black sons have trauma. Listen,
Yes, every day.
listen. I
I have
know.
one and I want to keep him.
Hello. Hello. There was a
I,
time where we tried to go to the city council meeting and try to get people involved. Didn't nobody want to support. Listen, yes, she is. Yes, I myself deal with that every day, you know,
every day.
every day. Yes.
And don't tell me they want to go somewhere or they going to be out late at night because, my son likes to travel
Mm,
and he's single. He has no children. And I'm glad that he likes to do that. But as a mother, when you're going in and out of these airports, in and out of these different Airbnbs and
yeah.
car rental places and these different states and different, I'm like,
Yes.
I hate to say, I'm sometimes on pins and needles, and it should not be that way.
I know. I feel the same thing. The same way. It shouldn't be that way. I'm constantly pleading the blood and praying, and yes, it should not be that way. And that's what's really sad. And then they look at you like you have no right to feel this way. You see, but we do feel this way. It's more that feel this way than they can ever imagine. You know, I
Absolutely.
I have to tell myself all the time, and Jeanette, I tell my son to call me if he is ever pulled over. It's terrible. I say the
Yeah.
same thing. Make sure you get their card. Listen, you're
Get
gonna
a
stop
badge
me. Get the
number.
badge number. All that.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
yes. That's a whole nother conversation we can have, you guys. Yeah,
Yes, ma'am.
yes. Well,
And it
go ahead.
it it's amazing how all three of us have that trauma and we're located differently simply because of how the media blows it up. And I'm not saying that it's not valid. I am not saying that, because there have been some horrible things that have happened in our society surrounding um African American men, and it's caused them trauma to not feel comfortable engaging with law enforcement. You know, when we
Yes.
grew up, we were taught you could go to a fire station, a police officer, go to a church, somebody could help you. I remember when we were younger, Jewel, they had stars that they used to have in the window. I'm
I was
going back.
just getting
That
ready
you
to
knew
say
this
that.
was a safe house that you could go to in the event of emergency. Those
That's
of you
right.
that are from our hometown know what I'm talking about.
That's right.
But honey, today, I don't know.
No, today, where would the stars even come from? You know what I'm
Girl.
saying? Because you have people in these cliques, in these groups, and even doctors. Listen, I was gonna share that with you. Even doctors are suffering. We had one here that was a cardiologist picking up and dropping drugs in these drinks for young teenage girls. You don't
Hmm.
even know who to trust anymore,
You
which is
sure
why,
don't?
listen, that's why I say pay attention to a person's character and the length of time. Because they may seem like they, but listen, I can wait you out. I'll wait you out because you seem nice. And then next year, you're somebody totally different. We've got to figure this thing out. We've got to talk more, Deb. But we're already an hour and 12 minutes in. Do you guys want to keep going? Give me some stars, or do you want to talk about it next week? What's your time looking like, Deb?
Oh, I'm fine.
You're
I
fine.
mean it. I think we've had great conversation and good interaction and dialogue, and I think that this was needed. Um, sometimes people can internalize and bottle things up and just not know how to release it,
Right,
or
right.
feel safe about, sharing. But we've we've got to understand, and to get we have to take time to work on understanding different people's upbringing,
Yeah,
different cultures, and all of that plays in, I think, Jewel, to sometime trauma, and
it
even
does.
affects individuals' self-esteem.
It does. I mean, that's part of it. Um, and we can talk about this more. Now I'm echoing. Is that you, Deb?
No, I'm here.
Okay. So, and it does. Like we said earlier, self esteem, trauma, lack of understanding, the age of 8 is when people start dreaming. And sometimes when working with people, I always say to them, go back to the age of 8 and then let's move from there. Because
Hmm.
that's when people are most impressionable, where they start seeing and it's changing their life. Like they don't forget it. It's hard to explain without going into detail. Uh,
Right.
but what I can say is it's imperative. that we have these conversations and talk about it and go back. And just like we were talking about, sitting on the porch, talking about things, what it was like back then versus what it's like now. These young kids they need to hear that, because they don't get to sit on the porch with people. They don't get to communicate with
Mm-mm.
people. If anything, they've got their guard up because they don't know that person.
Yes,
So that's what these conversations can start being about, is talking about what it was like back then, what it's like now, how we handled things back then versus now. There's so many different topics we can get on, to help people to heal, a little at a time, you know. And like, I want to thank everybody for coming on tonight. I don't want to
absolutely.
hold them. I want to go back and thank, all the people that stopped by: and Jeanette, B Spot, uh, Kathy Hillsman, um, Vicky Green. And I see you out there watching. Don't think I don't see you. Thank you for coming on and watching. Even if you just watched a few minutes, that's perfectly fine. We hope to be back on next Saturday. That's the Memorial Day weekend. So make sure you guys, if you can, come on, bring your snacks. Maybe we'll do a extra hour next week and go from there. Deb, anything you want to say to before we sign off?
No, ma'am. I want everybody to have an awesome week and to stay safe.
Yes, and stay encouraged. That is something we want you to stay encouraged.
Yes.
As we go out, I will serenade you all with a little bit of music. I just want to say thanks for listening and peace and blessings to you all. All right. Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.